Hello.
Oh, hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Whyte Noise. I'm Michael Judson Berry.
Ryan Wilder.
And we're joined this time by my dear friend Chapman. Chapman, hello.
Oh my gosh. Hello, boys. I'm so delighted to be here. You know, we're coming out of the election. And so if you needed an arbiter of what, it's a big country, it's a big podcast. If you need an arbiter of like what the heartland is thinking, you've come to the right place. A niche urban homosexual who works in media. It's like, this is who you need. Tell you what the people think.
Exactly.
Bring balance to our world, please.
Preach, Chapman, preach. This episode is just going to be you pontificating for 40 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm delighted to keep us in the bubble. Thank you so much for having. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so excited. And you are the perfect guest for this episode, as today we are chatting about social media food cooking videos, correct?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how it was phrased.
I just have it written down as food videos. So
food videos.
Let's go with that.
Because every episode we're given a topic from our previous judge that we then each get to riff on for 10 minutes. At the end of the episode, you, Chapman, will choose a winner, whatever that means to you. But yes, this one is food videos. And Chapman and I met doing Worst Cooks in America.
Ah, that's right. I was trying to recall. I was like, I think you guys met on Worst Cooks.
When I competed, and Chapman was a brilliant producer who kept us all sane and on schedule as best you could, and was just like a bright joy of delight through that entire process.
Oh my gosh. It's such a fun show. And by the way, as a plug, season 28 airing in January on Food Network and Max, streaming everywhere. But no season is better than yours, my dear.
Than the viral sensation season, obviously.
Indeed.
Why was it the viral sensation?
That was the theme. So all the contestants were people who were quote-unquote viral sensations. So we all were like influencers. So talk about, again, Chapman trying to wrangle cats. Like we had some personalities on there.
How often, Chapman, did you have to swipe phones away and be like, not now, guys?
Oh, they were very big, because it's like when you get, you know, people who are used to being in front of cameras, they can talk to the little camera or they to the big camera. And I got the big camera. So as soon as we walked out, it's like, oh, phone's away. Yeah, it's such a fun show. It's such a fun show. And you, Michael, did so well.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. I was an unexpected runner-up, which shocked everyone, including myself. So, but Chapman, you've worked on many Food Network shows, or like food-themed shows in general, right? List all of your many achievements, please.
Yeah. I sort of made a little niche for myself in like food and fashion. So I do a lot of Chopped, a lot of Worst Cooks, Project Runway, some drag stuff on Hulu. Some, you know, I've been around, you know, swinging from pirate ship to pirate ship. It sort of feels like. But I will tell you, I think I must be one episode behind in your podcast, because I thought I was coming on for, drumroll please, Memories, which I have very little experience. So this is going to be, I'm like, I might have more to add to this one, because I'm like, Memories, I'm like, oh boy, I don't have a lot to add.
You might be surprised.
But yeah, no, today's food video. So yeah, so you, as you are an expert, then this should be perfect. All right, who should go first?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like, Ryan, we just met. However, Michael, because we're talking food videos and you just gave a wonderful preamble about Worst Cooks, I think we got to hear from you, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
Great.
I'll start the timer.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
Set. Go.
Okay. Oh gosh, I wasn't actually going to talk about Worst Cooks, but now that we've chatted about it, I'm just going to talk a little bit about that real quick. That was such a pleasant surprise. So friends who don't know the show, Worst Cooks in America, even before I went on it, it's one of my favorite cooking shows, hosted by Chef Anne Burrell and a guest chef every time. And every season, they get 2 packs of terrible cooks that they each have to basically teach how to cook. And it feels like it's really a competition between the chefs, not the worst cooks, right? As to like who the better teacher is. Because every episode, somebody gets kicked off and you whittle it down to one person from each team who then goes head to head. So my season, I was the winner of my team. And then I lost in the finale. And it was very sad. But Chef Anne was very sweet. Like, her contestant won, but she gave me a big hug after. But it was funny because I had just started dating my boyfriend at the time. And one thing that he talked about was he was like, I wish I could come home to like a home-cooked meal. And I'm famously a horrible cook. So when you called me out of the blue and was like, would you like to be on Worst Cooks in America? I was like, I was literally just looking for cooking courses. And I was like, well, this is perfect. I'll actually learn how to cook and I get to be on a TV show that I love.
The perfect mix.
The perfect mix, like toss it in a blender. And I will say that show was a wild ride. I have a newfound respect for people on reality shows in general, and especially for you who like produces reality shows. It's so much harder than you think it is. And like the stress, like you watch people on shows like I Love Survivor and Top Chef and stuff, and you're like, why are these contestants behaving that way? And it's like, but the pressure, all of a sudden making the perfect black bean burger in 40 minutes with only going on a 3-hour demonstration, all of a sudden becomes your whole world. Like and that's a pretty chill show, right? Like I can only imagine like being on The Bachelor or something. Because I remember we were filming Worst Cooks when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I remember being in the green room and one of the PAs came up because they take your phones away, obviously, so we couldn't cheat, you know, to be like, how do you make a black bean burger? You know, like, you really just have to go up of the demonstration. I remember a PA coming and be like in tears and being like, Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I was like, that's awful, but my veggie burger. I mean, that would a blow for humanity, but like, how are they? My burger was bad. I mean, I'm waiting for judging. Like, maybe it's better. I don't know. Like, that's the state of where my mind was, and that's just like a fairly relaxed show. I feel like.
Michael, I got to be honest with you. With everything going on, I kind of feel like focusing on a black bean burger might be where it's at for everyone right now.
It might have been kind of like this. Actually, friends, what I learned is if you ever wanted to do a reality show, this is the time.
It's like, you know, I've never been to Vegas, but like, you know, casino time where like there's no windows, there's no clocks, like it's all by design. It's very hard to find your way to the door. Yeah, it's you make the world and then people live inside it and it gets very sort of myopic, I think. Sort of by design. Yeah, your world gets very, very small. Very, very
Because
small.
then I found myself caring so deeply about but at times I'd remind myself, I was like, it's rice. It's okay. It's just rice. But I was like on the verge of a nervous breakdown every time. But I guess, yeah, it makes sense because it makes you really care. Like, I really wanted to win. And then I also really bonded with the other contestants. Like, I legit, like, sobbed every time somebody got eliminated. And it was partially because I was still on and it was really stressful. And I was like, why wasn't it me? But also because I was sad to see them go. Like, I genuinely really cared.
Did you want to go? Did you want to go early? Were you like, get me out of here?
I had a couple of moments because I will say, as someone who's not a great cook, the demonstrations are very fast on that show. And then you sit with it, you know, and you have time in between. Obviously, you give us time. I need to practice multiple times. And it was just very stressful when all of a sudden the cameras turn on and you're like, I have 45 minutes to recreate this thing. And I'm in a pressure cooker. And it was just like, ah! So that 45 minutes when we finally had to do our cook was very stressful. So yeah, I had moments, but then I was like, no, I want to win. I want to win this. And I was very sad to see people go because then we bonded. Anyway, so that's my worst cooks experience. So where I was going to go with this originally when I was talking about food videos, can I gripe for a second?
Gripe.
Cottage cheese recipes. Enough. I have had enough with so many. Every time I open Instagram and TikTok, it's another like health food person being like, you can bake cottage cheese.
I think you've done this to yourself because I don't have this.
Okay, so this is my whole feed is people being like, you don't need pita bread. You can make healthy wraps using cottage cheese. Or like, you can make delicious peanut butter brownies using cottage cheese. And it's like a healthy protein brownie. Like every other recipe involves like dollops of cottage cheese. And I don't know when it had this resurgence, but all of a sudden it's everywhere. And I tried to make cottage cheese pitas, which I can't even say, let alone cook. And the disaster that was.
Chapman, is there any chance there's a future reality show revolving around cottage cheese? Is it in the... I'm not somebody who's in on the zeitgeist, but y'all, kids at home, I think cottage cheese is coming back. Big cottage cheese is, I think, making inroads. They're like trying to come back. I've been on food shows recently. I won't say which ones, but like Big Cottage Cheese has like put forth money to have that be like a featured ingredient. Like, I think they really are trying to like not your mother's cottage cheese. So I think like the big cottage cheese really is probably like going out on TikTok and let's make this cool. And I think there is an agenda.
Every health food like influencer is using cottage cheese constantly in everything. And like and I keep trying and it never tastes, it's always bad.
Oh, I
and
love it.
part of me is like, it's been around for a bit. So like trying to bake with it, I mean, it never looks the way it does when they make theirs. But like, that's when part of me, I was like, why can't it be like kale or acai bowls? Like, why can't it just go away already? Like, it had your moment. Acai bye. Like, it just, I can't with the cottage cheese of it all. Anyway, so that was my little gripe about that. But the thing on social media cooking that I do love, do you know Dylan Hollis, the guy who does antiquated recipes?
He does the ones that are like from the 70s and the 80s. They're kind of like the ones that your mom did, like Lipton spices and
Yes.
shit.
Fun. Okay.
It's at B Dylan Hollis, DYLANHOLLIS. He has a cookbook out now called Cooking of Yesteryear, I want to say. He's hysterical. He's just a funny, amazing human who's like this skinny gay guy who's just like constantly makes sex jokes. But he'll do these recipes from like a lot of like Depression era recipes or like turn of the century or like 80s. And sometimes they're amazing and sometimes they're just like the most horrific thing you've ever seen, where it's just like lard mixed with mayonnaise and a bit of cocoa powder and some moo juice, which is what he calls milk. And then it's like bake for 4 hours. And it's just these insane things where you're like, why was this ever a recipe? And people made this. So I highly recommend him. But it's interesting. So while I was also researching about this stuff, about cooking videos in general, especially on social media, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of Chopped and Worst Cooks and Top Chef and all those shows. And because I'm not a great cook. So to me, it's like watching magicians. And Chapman, you're a gorgeous cook. Like when we've hung out and you've cooked, and Ryan, you're a gorgeous cook. Like watching both of you in the kitchen is like, it's like watching beautiful painters or like people do these amazing things that then we get to consume. It's wonderful. And so for me, I love Instagram's food videos because again, it's that little bite-sized version of that. And I found this great article about the New York Times did where they were like, has this, boom of social media cooking videos that people love to take in sort of like almost as an ASMR type thing. Has it made us better cooks? And the answer is no. And I actually saw they interviewed the guy who created those like tasty videos from BuzzFeed. Remember they're like tasty.
What was it like, Michael?
Tasty.
Thank you.
And there was supposed to be an original version of like Julia Child. The cooking videos or cooking shows were created to teach people. And he was like, we wanted to teach people. And what they learned was that people didn't want to be taught. They just wanted to see pretty results. And so that's now the focus of for food influencers. They're not there to actually teach you how to make anything. They're there to just give you an escape.
And there we are. Perfect timing.
And quite the escape you gave us. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
And sorry if I gave too much behind the scenes of Worst Cuts. I don't think I spoiled anything for anybody.
No, I don't think anything.
Okay, great. It just hit me. I was like, do we have to bleep out half of what I said?
No.
So Chapman, I have a couple questions for you. The first one is, do you have any like good stories about Michael from behind the scenes? Anything that pops to your mind? And then the other is, since you're a great cook or chef, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh, because Chapman is a really good cook.
Well, thank you for that. I think in terms of behind the scenes with Michael Berry, you were a mensch. You truly were.
You said mention. I thought you were going to say mess.
No. Because I mean, here's the thing. Like, if we're talking about Worst Cooks, like the conceit of this show is it's taking people who have zero cooking skills, who've been too busy in other areas of their life to like develop the skill to, feed themselves. And so some of those people like Michael are very, very talented and they're very busy and they're leading a big life, star of stage and screen. Others have not figured out how to feed themselves. And so when it comes to like getting them on a plane and across America and like, let's get wardrobe and let's make sure you sign your paperwork. Like, it's kind of like wrangling crazy people sometimes. So to have Michael come in and be so lovely and wonderful and signs everything on time and, has a pulse and is smart and funny. And it was like, there's no like shade or story I could tell. In terms of like food, I think there's nothing better than like a one pot situation where like
big fan of the crock.
Yeah, well, not even I knew crock, sure, but I think like there's something once you do it enough, like there's something sort of calming about the ritual of chopping an onion and mincing garlic, and so like I think the act of like sometimes when I work from home and I don't know, I'm like, what am I doing? I have 9 million things to do. What's the first order of business? It's like, well, I'm gonna make a stew. I'm not gonna work at all because it's like the simple act of like layering in flavor. I think that is meditative and fun and like kind of gets a party going. So I'm a fan of like a one pot, like let it go for hours, keep adding stuff, like let the house smell good. I think that is the key. That is the key. But none of this hard, difficult, like no. Keep it easy and just, keep the party going, I say. Low and slow.
And it's finally getting cold, so we're moving into perfect stew season.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than soups. I think soups are an underrated food genre.
I also like bolognese.
Bolognese is the best. Like low and slow. It takes forever.
Smell.
There's a million steps. It's so good. Make a double batch. Freeze half of it. Like I make bolognese like once every 2 months in the winter.
God, you two are so impressive. I'm sitting here being like, and I'm going to make a grilled chicken breast with some rice and broccoli. Although I do make pasta now because I learned how to make that on the show.
It became a signature,
that's my party trick.
Say.
Because everyone else, like, pasta is so hard to make. And I was like, it's really not.
You mean like the dough and then like...
Yeah, like from scratch, like fresh pasta.
I was like, you boil it.
Yeah, but
I was like, I'm really happy we accomplished that.
That's true. It became my crutch on the show, and now it's my party trick. So I was like, it's really not as difficult to make as you think it is. It's like 4 ingredients mixed together, and then they sit, and then you flatten them and boil it. Like it's
we have to do this at some point. I want to try your pasta. I haven't had it.
Oh yeah,
I'm a little sad.
Okay, so Ryan, shall we dive in?
You ready?
I can't wait because usually Ryan's is much more informative. I feel like I genuinely learn things when Ryan speaks, and I'm excited.
That's scary, actually.
No, it's gonna be great. Ready? And go.
Okay, cool. So, food videos. Last week, Kitty gave us the topic, and she ended up talking a little bit about like it'd be great to know the psychology behind food videos and like scrolling through food videos and on social media. And I kind of started out and I didn't find much, but I decided to anchor myself to doom scrolling. And I thought doom scrolling was just the idea of laying in bed and just going through crap on your phone and kind of like throwing off your sleep for the night. Well, it turns out like doom scrolling is specifically about looking at negative things that give you anxiety, like doom scrolling through news or doom scrolling through social media posts. Like I did this to myself. I was up in Canada for the election and I was great up until I got back to the hotel and chose to look at social media. And then I was like, okay, the world is over. So it turns out there is an alternative and it's called joy scrolling. And actually, I think I've reoriented most of my social media feeds to this, where the stuff that you're looking at is about positivity. It's about focused intention. It's about emotional uplift and empowerment. And those things kind of combined together, if their focal point, can have an impact on reducing your stress. And guess what? Food videos beautifully fit right into that cross section. So some of the key reasons for that, and I'm just going to touch on some of it quickly here, is there's a lot of sensory gratification as well as ASMR associated with food videos. So like you see bright colors, there's sounds that you associate with food that you've made before or food that people have made for you. They tend to stimulate feelings of happiness interlinked to like nostalgia and comfort. I liked the term mindful escapism, which is actually a cross-section of meditation and contributes to lowering stress. There's creative inspiration. So in other words, you have this thing locked in your mind. And Kitty last week talked about, actually, I'm going to talk about these together, creative inspiration and community and connection. because Kitty last week talked about making chicken cutlets, which I would say is a kind of typical Italian American sort of thing. And she's Italian American. So there's this identification with the culture, this desire to like figure out how to make the best one. So it gives you this kind of goal oriented focus. So overall, food videos fall into a really positive cross section of social media. And it's part of the reason that people focus on it. And I think a lot of people are looking for that kind of reprieve these days. That's actually, they're my favorite thing to watch. And actually that kind of bridges into, I'm going to talk about one of my absolute favorites, or at least one of my favorites for right now. So I love Meat Church. Meat Church was created by this guy named Matt Pittman. And
meat church
meat,
or
meat,
like
meat,
MEAT?
MEAT, Meat Church. So
this sounds like a great
That's a bar
religion.
in my community, but like we'll talk about that on the top.
No, I love it. Well, the thing is he named it that because it's kind of a satirical way to talk about the way food and barbecue bring people together. And I also like the fact that it is a little bit blasphemous, just personally. I think it's funny and engaging. Matt Pittman, the guy who created this, is a little bit of a, like, I aspire to be him at some level. So he was on a competition called BBQ Pitmasters, which I think was a reality TV show. He came in last, but he gained a lot of attention for the spices that he put together for the meats that he cooked in the Pitmaster competition. He parlayed this into a business, and he actually originally worked in financial services. He was an IT project manager and managed to take this interest in his spices and create this whole brand out of it. So I actively watch him on YouTube, and I follow a lot of his recipes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to smoke 2 sets of ribs this afternoon for some guests that we have coming over.
Ooh.
But I love him because his videos are like inclusive, accessible, and kind of easy to engage with.
Like inclusive of all meats? Inclusive of what?
Well, I was gonna elaborate on it just a little bit, and there's like 2 kind of like points that I think are awesome in this. So the whole smoking thing, and I think smoking meats, if you've been around it, comes across as like a really complex and challenging thing to do, right? Because it's about hitting the right temperature and getting wood and coals to the right temperature. And people who are really, really intense about this, that like they would tell you that a pellet grill is cheating, right? But like me personally, I don't have time to create coal and a given smoke and whatever else.
I don't have time for that. I
can drop pellets into a grill though, and I can set the grill at the temperature that I want and go it. So a lot of his stuff is focused on like while it is still a little bit technical, he still makes it kind of accessible and easy to learn how to do. The other thing that I kind of got into and I decided to look is he has done a beautiful job of making sure he has no political or external kind of affiliation. So like when you go to watch his videos, it's safe. I don't know how else to put it. Like there isn't going to be something in the background that's triggering. There's not going to be a political message to any of it. It's like a full independence of a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, which lends back to what I was saying earlier about the kind of joy scrolling. So it keeps the joy in it.
Just thinking about the beauty of smoking meat, I guess. It just get a little.
I got distracted. I was actually just thinking about the racks of ribs I'm about to dive into here. But yeah, it's just I find that his material is really engaging. It's super easy to watch. I walk away, and again, it's all the same sort of like qualities. Like I have a connection to it because I enjoy doing it. It kind of inspires me to be creative with whatever I'm buying. I very actively buy all of his spices too. I'm definitely giving that dude some cash. I'll give a shout out for him. If you want to buy his like spices or brines, you find them at Ace Hardware, and apparently he's one of the best selling brands in Ace Hardware. But yeah, I just love the fact that this guy had this kind of passion. You know, he worked in a corporate world, which is very much where I'm at, and managed to take this thing and parlay it into a whole brand, a whole company, and a whole very successful thing, and something I personally aspire to.
That is wild. He's an IT guy. He gets cast on the show, comes in last, but he's cast for a reason. He must have some set of skills, and then finds this one thing and then builds a whole business on it and then becomes the best-selling business in another business in his second career for a show he did for like Talk about a pivot. I feel like that is what every modern adult needs to be able to do these days, because no one has a job for 40 years anymore.
I do appreciate he said that like he believes that part of his success or part of how he got to where he was is because he did have the like corporate background. So it gave him the organizing skills and the kind of strategy skills to kind of navigate some of the weird spaces. By the way, and just totally random thought, he said he has a store in Texas and he set up next to another like pitmaster, like barbecue place. And part of the reason it was listed up people like going there to shop for like clothing and stuff is that you buy the clothing and when you get home it smells like barbecue.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's really building out the brand right there. It's like, finding your lover's perfume the next morning.
No, Subway should do that because that's a specific smell.
I don't know if I want that smell.
I'm sure somebody out there does. All right, you have 20 seconds.
I have 20 seconds? I don't even know where to go. I actually thought I was going to be overtime, but look at this. I cut it a little short.
Wow. Chapman, any questions?
I do have one question. It's a strange follow-up, but has anybody here ever experienced the meat sweats?
Oh yeah.
Is this a real scientific thing, the meat sweats? Because it's a great joke. Like, oh my God, I'm so full I had the meat sweats. But is it real?
Especially after like a Brazilian steakhouse, one of those ones where they walk around with meat on a stick and just like slice tons of it off onto your plate. You're like, I don't even know what this is, but yum.
I don't know if this mooed or meowed or like what it did, but like
extra salty. Yeah, you get all like kind of bloaty from it.
Oh, yum. Because Chapman, have you had the meat sweats? Like, have you had?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. Maybe I've just had the regular sweats. Maybe they were the meat sweats and I didn't even know. What are the hallmarks of a meaty sweat versus a vegetarian sweat? I don't know.
Yeah, what would be like the tofu sweats? Can you consume so much like meatless meat that you get the sweats too? I wonder if it would have the same reaction.
Well, is it there? I don't know. And this is shame on me for being a food person and not understanding like soy versus tempeh versus tofu. But isn't there a problem when you eat too much soy? Like that can be. If you can eat, you could drink too much water, and that can be a problem. Anything,
yeah.
But
everything in moderation.
Only thing I recall from soy is that soy has an influence on estrogen in men.
Oh, that's why my coat is so shiny.
All right, so we've done it. We each rattled on for a few minutes. Chapman, with no parameters whatsoever, choose a winner and whatever that means to you. It's very Who's line.
I feel much like many past presidents, the last person who spoke is the one who sticks in my head. But there's also something about joy scrolling. I feel like we all need a little joy scrolling. And so everybody, your homework today is to go home, joy scroll. Find some lovely content. Scroll some joy.
Yeah.
Scroll some joy.
Whatever that means for you. But I think joy scrolling. I think Ryan is our winner today.
Nice.
Aw, thank you.
Very well done.
Michael,
well done.
I want to give you a hug. Like this is...
It's fine. I've just resigned myself to the fact that I'll never win. And that is completely fine. I'm just happy to be here. Listen, the guy you talked about came in last and now he's very successful. So I'm clinging to that.
You're going to find something.
Jennifer Hudson did not win American Idol. And she did okay.
Yeah, she's great.
So, she won an Oscar. All right. Well, thank you, Chapman. Thank you so much.
What a pleasure. What a joy.
Do you possibly have another word for us?
I do. And it came to me immediately last week when I was listening. I think there's many places to go, but your word is packages or packaging. Packages or packaging.
Packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, packaging.
Do you mind sharing the origin?
Because I think... Actually, this is going to sound so stupid, but I actually think it's quite interesting. I am a big believer, when you have like a box of whatever from Amazon, that you like break it down when you take it to, or a box of, Tricks or Club crackers or whatever. And so I was like breaking down this cardboard box, and it was astounding how like this one piece of cardboard fold, and then it becomes flat. I'm like, who freaking figured this out? Also, there's like on the printing, when you like look under there's like a code of like, here are all the colors that are on this box. And I'm like, what is this about? So I feel like there's a whole world for like actual packaging, but then I feel like there's also, an opportunity to get cheeky with this in packages. And, so I feel like this is really a choose your own adventure. We can go technical, we can go dirty, we can do fun, we can do poppy, we could do, whatever. So that's for you all to decide.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And tune in next time for packages.
Just a little reminder for everyone. I think we're going to be off next week for the holiday.
Yes.
So we will return in roughly a week or 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
It will be a pause, but it will be a box of wonderful. I'm trying to come up with a box pun now and on the spot. And it's just, oof, my gosh, I need more coffee.